All right. It's the 12th of September 2024, and this is 20 minutes prior to the New York Open. We've got PPI today, um, around 50 minutes from now. So let's get straight to the gold chart and start our analysis. Okay, let's go to the daily time frame. So price has rejected yesterday 2530 yet again. We've closed a bearish doji candle. So it's again in between 2505, weekly resistance 2505 and 2530. Um, it doesn't say much. Price could, since we've rejected this area again yesterday, we could continue to push down today during the New York session. It's a possibility. There is no guarantee of that happening. The daily candle, the current daily candle has a very small lower wick, so price could push down to create a bigger lower wick if it decides to, before it decides to go up. That's if it decides to go up, or we could just continue down for the rest of the day. Now again, when I trade in my executions, I don't consider the daily time frame bias at all. This doesn't mean anything much to me at all in my with my executions. Let's go down. Let's go straight to the H4 time frame and look at our zones. So, but before we do that, let's look at if we have to readjust our daily support resistance levels. Yeah, so we had a resistance level right here with this candle here, right here, and now we got to adjust it to this candle. So the open of this candle is 1634 because they're very close to each other, so we just need to take the most recent one, 1634. That's our daily SR level right there. Let's go now to the H4 time frame and let's start our zones. Okay, these are the zones that we had yesterday. We're going to readjust these zones. I'm not going to delete them completely, but we're going to readjust them, right? It takes a less time to do that. Let's move all of these away. Okay. Here now, yesterday we had marked. If you watched yesterday's live stream, we had marked a demand zone right here. There was a demand zone right there yesterday. It was very ugly on the H4 time frame, but better. It was more clearer on the H1 time frame. It was that and that, right? It was about that. That was all the basing candles and the leg up. Okay, rally, base, rally, right? And price did engulf that or broke through that. Okay, so because it did that, this zone here, this rally base drop here becomes a high liquidity zone for me. Okay, so we just continue it to the left. We update um, the line, so the open of that is 2130. So this is what I do every day. Um, I just go through the same process so that you guys can see how I approach my high time frame analysis, right? Price has already tested it. Just keep that in mind. That's the zone. Price has tested it already. Okay, so that's our first H4 supply zone. Now let's look at the most recent one. We have one right here. We have a demand zone right here. Okay, we have a drop, basin candles, three basin candles, and a rally. That's your leg in. Three basin candles, because this candle has a lot more wick than body, so that's kind of the biggest basin candle. And then that candle is in between it. That's fine. Then we have one more basin candle there and the leg out. Okay, so the open there 466. Right there, and the low there, that's 597. Okay, done. So those are the two most recent ones. Okay, now is this a high liquidity zone? No. because price hasn't engulfed any supply. There isn't H4 supply there for price to have broken. So that's I'm not going to consider this as a high liquidity zone, at least for now. Let's have a look at it again later. Okay. Here price has come into this, so this bit is all that we have left of this H4 supply zone, right? So let's bring this all the way down there, right? Because that's all we have left of that zone. That's the little bit that we have left. Prices come into that, okay? So we have to, since price didn't break it, we still have to leave that line there, okay? So that low is 0.97, so let's make that 0.77 so that we see it clearly, okay? Okay. The close here is 0.1, the low is 116. Okay, so 77, the low 97. Okay, so I hope you guys understood what I did. That was our main demand zone that we had yesterday, that we took the trade from yesterday. We took that trade and we had about a 15 pip stop loss, and the trade ran about, the price ran about 200 pips, but it ran to the H4 supply zone. It took a long time to do that, but it did run. Eventually, it did go there, right? But I got out at about, I think 3 RR, or I think 3.5 RR, or whatever I got out of the trade at about 50, 60 pips, okay? So here we have the remnant of that demand H4 demand zone left, which is right there. Then we have this is still a demand zone. We're going to come back, we're going to circle back and look, check to see which ones are high liquidity zones and which ones are not, okay? So these zones are still valid. They are from yesterday. They actually, since a couple of days ago, these zones have been there. So we're going to leave them as it is. And here, let's extend this as well. Price didn't come up there yet, so let's extend that as well. So that's there. That's still a high liquidity zone, as I mentioned yesterday, because it did engulf price on the left here. That zone broke all of that, came down. So that is a high liquidity zone. I'm going to leave that the way it is right now. Okay. So we are currently about 300 pips away. Price is ranging about 225 pips over the last 3 days. So I think that's a good enough area to end zones. We don't need to draw anything further below that. So these are the areas that we have. These are the areas we shouldn't be selling inside of, right? If you're selling, we should be selling up here. If you're buying, we should be buying in the green areas. We should be selling in the red areas. Okay. Now, let's go see which are high liquidity zones and which are not. Let's start right here. This zone here, so there is an H4 zone, but it's more clearer on the H1 time frame, where we have a drop. That's a base-in candle and the rally. We did the same thing yesterday, and that zone did engulf that supply zone. It broke. That was the reason. That zone was the reason that this zone was broken. So it is a high liquidity zone. So we're going to put a label there. Here, this one didn't engulf anything here, so this is not a high liquidity zone for me. This zone did engulf that. It is a high liquidity zone. Price did come there deep in and did take the orders from there and did go up there. Okay, so this little bit here, this sliver of a zone, which is about 7 pips, it's all that is left of that zone. So to me, that's too small of a zone to contain any significant liquidity, right? So that no longer is a high. That little bit, that sliver of a little zone there, the demand zone, is I will not consider it a high liquidity zone anymore. Okay, so then so we got two zones there that I don't consider as a high liquidity zone, and then we have this. Now, is this a high liquidity zone? It is demand, but it didn't take out anything, right? Or maybe did it? Was this a drop? This was a rally and a drop here? No. No, I wouldn't consider this. Let's just go to the H1 and look at it. Well, there was a zone there, but that zone extended all the way up there, and price, this zone took that out, and we have a reaction right there right now. Um, yeah, we do have a reaction there. Um, it is ugly, but it did take out. So let me explain what I'm doing here. That there was a supply zone on the H1 time frame. On the H4, we had a rally and a drop immediately. So that's H4 resistance, right? H4 resistance there. Clear H4 resistance. That H4 resistance was taken out here by this move up, by this big move up. It was taken out. So because it was taken up by this zone here, because it was taken out, this does become a high liquidity zone, right? So even though it doesn't look nice, I still have to call it what it is. I have to call it a high liquidity zone because it did take out that resistance. So that is a bull candle, H4 bull candle going up, and an immediate H4 bear candle coming down. So the open price of that bear candle is your resistance. So if I were to draw a line where resistance is, that's H4 resistance, right? So this move up, this bullish move up, or this demand zone, this H4 demand zone, drop base rally did take that out, right? So therefore this becomes a high liquidity zone. Now, what happened over here? Is there a high liquidity zone here? This zone took out that ugly zone that we had here, right? It did. So at the beginning of the stream, I shared that. There was a zone there, and that move took it out. So that becomes a high liquidity zone, right? Okay. There we have it. That's what the session looks like right now. Okay. That's what it looks like. Okay. That's what it looks like. Let me just. Okay, so if I'm selling, I'm looking to sell from either here or from here. And if I'm buying, I'm looking to be buying from either here, somewhere probably even deeper, deeper close to the weekly resistance area, or from down here. Okay, these are the areas I'm looking to trade at. This area here and here. I'm not interested in anywhere else in the chart. Where whatever price does, wherever it is, other than those areas, I'm not interested in looking for a trade. Let me get a quick screenshot of this. Okay. Just post this on the group for the ones in the group. So this is what I do every day. I post my zone so that everybody in the group sees exactly where I'm trading from. And if they want to trade from those specific areas, then they can take those trades as well, the exact same trades I take. Okay, done. Now let's just post the analysis and execution that we expect for the day. just keep in mind we've got in terms of news, we have PPI, and at the same time we've got unemployment claims. So they both happen exactly at the same time. Those um, those digits are going to come out exactly at the same time. So we're expecting volume around 8:30 a.m. New York time. So I don't trade news, as I've said several times before. I don't trade news. So I will wait for at least a minimum of 15 minutes after news to look for a trade. Okay, that's the bare minimum, a minimum of 15 minutes. Um, okay, so closed. Okay, so we have daily SR, power above current price 2521. So as I said before, I take the closest round number. So if it's above 2.5, then I would round it off to 0.5. If it's below 0.5, I would round it out to a double zero number. So 2521 there and 252450 there, right? 252450. So we have daily SR at 252450 and at 2521, right? Thereabouts. Then below the below current price, this I will ignore because it's in between the supply demand zone. So I'm going to ignore that, and we're going to consider this 251350, which we already had marked out yesterday and posted in the chat. 251350, and we have 250850, then we have 250450, and then we have one here all the way down 2497. Now it's PPI and unemployment news. Price could have the legs to come down. We may have legs to come down, or we may have the legs to go up, right? So I want to cover roughly about a 250, 300 pip range, because that's average daily range is around 226 pips, 225. So I want to cover that kind of a range within for the daily SR lines, okay? So price can basically pull back or bounce off or reverse at any of those lines. Okay, so in terms of price is above the moving averages. These are the EMAs. There's a fast moving average on the 30-minute and a slow moving average, a 60 period moving average, exponential moving average on the on the 30-minute time frame again, right? So even if I do go down to the 5-minute or the 1 minute, it will still show the 30. It will still show a 30-minute moving average, right? Which is a very good moving average for session trading. Okay, and that's all done by this indicator here. Um, there are a ton of features on this indicator. I've shared this several times before. That's what it is. You'll find a link for this indicator below in the YouTube below the video. I use the default settings of the indicator. Um, okay, so price is above it. Um, I anything can happen, right? So I would prefer to see sells because we have a if we go up there, we have a bit of a range to come down about 100 pips if we go up somewhere here. This is the London high, so if price breaks that high, or if we grab liquidity there, we have about 100 pips to come down. But if we do continue up, then I would need to see price pull back before getting in on a trade, right? So there is some when price has to move a bit, at least 60, 70 pips, move down for me to get a trade going up. So, but I would prefer to see sells because price is already close to my area of interest. And what I mean by area of interest is my H4 supply zone, which is also a high liquidity zone. So a combination of a high liquidity zone and a H4 supply zone is what I refer to as my area of interest. Okay, that's the way I trade. Sells, I like to see a sell signal from supply. Yeah, so we got another 30 minutes for news. Okay. Okay, so that's the analysis, right? So let me just this is what I post in the group. So if you are trading the signals, the buy and sell signals of the indicator, if you are following the trade plan that I've that you get, the free trade plan that you get with the indicator, if you are trading that specific trade plan, this is what you should be looking for. This is the kind of execution that you should be looking for, right? So the analysis is the previous daily, the previous daily has closed a doji, but again rejected a weekly resistance. All right, but again rejected weekly resistance 2530. Price has tested H4 supply. We've already tested this. As you can see, price has already tested in the London session. We've already tested it here, right? So price is coming back for liquidity now. So we don't know if price is going to go deeper into the zone beyond this high here, because above the London high is liquidity, right? So those who are trading the London session or the Asian session, or just after the London session, the Frankfurt session or whatever, have got their stops above there, right? So that's liquidity. Above that is liquidity. So if price needs to grab liquidity to go down, if it does need to grab liquidity to go down, it's going to go above that to grab liquidity to continue down. If it needs liquidity, that's the area that it wants to tap, above that, right? That's where all the stop orders are. So a stop order is basically the opposite side of a sell order. So if it needs sell liquidity, it needs the stops here, it needs the orders here of your, it needs the orders of these cells here, which are buy orders, right? So if you've taken a sell here and your stop loss is basically a buy order to get you out of the trade, right? That's your stop loss, is a buy order. So it needs buy orders, it needs buy side liquidity to go down, right? um, okay, let's get back to this. All right, so there are daily SR above current price 2521. these numbers here, 2521 then and 252450, and below current price around 251350, 250850, 0450 and 497. Okay, price can pull back, bounce off or reverse any at these levels. I don't use them for my execution, but it's good to understand where they are, right? So for sells, I'll either wait for a sell signal from supply. So from here or the one above, I'll be waiting for a sell signal, as I've shown in those two zones. Or I'll wait for price to create a new low. So what I mean by that is, what I mean by price creating a new low, pull back, and then a sell signal to retest that low is what I mean by that is price to pull down, right? Create a new low in the New York session. So this is the New York open is just, so the New York has just, the New York session has just opened. So right now for price to create a new low, right? Pull back, and then a sell signal, create M30 resistance and a sell signal either on M15 or M30 to retest that low. Now, this is a new low created pre-New York, right? This is exactly, this low was created right at pre-New York. That's an hour before the New York candle, 1 hour before New York open. So this is New York open, which is 1500 on my IC market server, and this is 1400. So this is exactly at pre-New York. We created a new low. So this could be the new low that it needs to retest if price needs to come down. So we could have price pull back, create M30 resistance, then with the formation of the resistance or after, you could get an M15 or M30 signal for price to come down and retest this low, right? So that's the sell, those are the two possible sell ideas. Okay, for buys, I'll be looking to take a buy signal from demand, right, which is from here or the high liquidity zone below that, or wait for price to pull back, create support on the M30 again, and then a buy signal to retest the London high. That's the London high right there. That is London high. Right there is London high. Okay, and here, yeah, so this is London high and this is London low. London low has already been tapped, right? It has been tapped. We've collected liquidity below London low and we're moving up towards London high. So if we are to continue down, liquidity is above this, in this area. This is all liquidity above here, all the way up here, and even further beyond this up to here. This is all liquidity for price to move down. So if price needs to move down, this is the area that it needs to collect liquidity from, right? So if you are, if whatever plan system that you're trading or however you're trading, remember that for price to go down, this is the area it needs to collect liquidity from. There's a 95 pip range for price to collect liquidity to move down. Now we don't know how much of liquidity it needs. It might need just 25 pips in that area to move down, or further, or here, or here. We don't know that, right? Until we have our confirmation, we don't know, right? We don't know how much is enough. But all we need to understand is above this London high is liquidity to drive price down. Okay. Okay, cool. So, okay, so we've got some time to kill here. We've got 20 minutes for news and another 15 minutes after that to wait for a potential trade or a potential setup. Yeah, and then there is, and that's about it. And tomorrow or Friday, there's absolutely nothing. No news on Friday at all. So this is the last, probably the opportunity for price to make some significant moves today. If it needs to make, if it wants to make any significant moves, this is the opportunity for it to do so. Friday we've got no news. It's be a regular trading day, and then next week we've got Oh, we've got federal funds rate, and they are expecting a rate cut. Yeah, they've been speaking about this for the last 3 months. They've been speaking about a possible rate cut, even longer. I think about 4 months. They've been speaking about a possible rate cut. So everybody's expecting a rate cut to happen. Okay. So let's talk about that next week. Yeah, we're far away from that. We got retail sales on Tuesday, and FOMC on Wednesday, and then on Thursday, unemployment claims not that important, and Friday nothing again. I won't be doing any streams on Monday, Tuesday. I'm taking a couple of days off. I'm taking a long weekend, so I won't be here on Monday, Tuesday, but I'll be here Wednesday. But this happens very late during my time, so this doesn't fall within my trading hours. But I'll be looking to capitalize on that, whatever the decision is, the next day on Thursday and on Friday, because the volume for that for that news event generally will coming during the London session or New York session the next day. Okay. Um, all right. Okay, I'll be back in a couple of minutes. 15 minutes more for news. Yeah. So we've just it's just been ranging a lot. It's not much at all happening. Um, Price did tap into this high liquidity zone already. It's 1319 and this low is, yeah. So this candle did tap into this. So, and that it was right at pre-NY. So that was the candle. This M15 candle is what made the move up here. Um, but let's see, we got to wait, just like we did yesterday. We got to wait for the news candle, M15 news candle to close. Until that closes, we do nothing. Yesterday, this was the M15 news candle. We waited for it to close, and then we took a trade right here of that the previous day's sniper entry. Price came down further down, so we closed the trade. Once we started seeing the rejection here at these levels here, we saw M30 resistance there, right there, and price did tap into that and rejected heavily. So when we saw that, we just waited for the pullback here and we closed the trade. Whatever that was left of that trade, we closed it right here. So that was decent RR on that trade. And then price did come deeper, but it did not. It's good to note that price did not break this low, right? So this low is 592, and this low is 597. So this candle held. This M15 candle that made the big move, um, made this big move up, right? 240 pip move. This was the origin of that big move. This was the origin. Price went up, pulled back, and this was the origin of that move. Price came back to the origin, respected that low of that origin, respected the low of that M15 candle, and now is pushing back up here, right? So the move started here, ended here, came down, respected the low, pushing back up, right? So we don't know, we can't assume what's going to happen next. We can only read the candles. So we marked our zones. This is an area of interest for me. This is an area of interest for me. Um, if there was no news, then if price came here, I would above the London high. If it came above the London high, I would be willing to look at taking a trade. And you guys have seen how I take the trades. I draw my fib and then I take a trade. But I would want price to come to grab liquidity if there wasn't news. Now that there is news, I've got to wait for the M15 news candle to close, so price could uh, so news could drive price all the way up here or drive all the price all the way down here. So things would be different, on a news day rather than a non-news day. So we got to wait for the M15 candle to close. Yeah, and price is coming up there to the London high, right there. That's a London high, and once it breaks it, that's where it grabs the liquidity from. Yeah, we have tapped the high, we've broken the high, and now let's price could continue higher. Um, so that's, yeah, this is the previous day's London high right there. So this is yesterday's London high, and yeah, this right here is yesterday's London low, which we have tapped several times. We've tapped here, we've tapped here, So if we close above here, then we're going to continue up, probably even here. This is yesterday's London high. Now we've gone above today's London high. That's yesterday's London high. That's again the reason I mention London highs. These are, you can also call them swing highs and swing lows, because this is a swing high. That was a swing high. Above these swing highs and below these swing lows are liquidity, right? So below this swing low here is liquidity. Above this swing high here is liquidity to drive price down. Below this swing low is liquidity to drive price up. 8 minutes for news. On a macro level, this week price has been ranging. No matter these big moves here, these moves up, this move up 240, 240 up, 240 down. No matter those session moves on a macro level, on a on the daily time frame, right? Price has just been ranging. It's just ranging between these two areas, right? Uh, it's a 460 pip range. Price is just bouncing between the two since uh, mid-August. Just goes to say that price is indecisive, right? It's probably, not probably, very likely, very likely waiting for next week's interest rate decision to decide if price is going to continue further up or break below this, close somewhere here, and then continue down, right? That big move is going to happen. Either a big move up, okay, either a big move up, moving up to 2550 and then maybe 2600, which is to 600, which is about 750 pips away from now, from here. Uh, that's all going to happen next Thursday or next Friday. Until then, I think we're going to just continue to bounce between these two, right? Between that weekly resistance and that weekly support. And there's a weekly resistance level here as well. So if you look at the weekly time frame, we're just closing dojis. Last 3 weeks, we've closed dojis. Doji, this is a decision candle. This is a decision candle, right? Coming up to 25005. So all the way from down here, or from down here, 2360, right? Price made a decision to move up to 25. So that's about 1,450, 435 pips. Price made a very clear decision, pushed all the way from here, all the way up there, right? But since then, the last 3 weeks, price has been indecisive. We just we created a doji, and another doji, right? So maybe this week is also going to close a doji. I don't know. We'll have to wait for tomorrow and see how the New York session progresses tomorrow to know if it's going to close another doji. And if it is to close a doji, then price has to then kind of start to pull back either today or tomorrow. It'll start to push back. So we might go a little higher, grab more liquidity, and then start the descent to come down, right? If it is to close the doji again. But this is just absolute trash. There's no decision at all the last 3 weeks of what price should be doing on a high time frame. And that's if you're swing trading, it's trash. But if you're a session trader, it really doesn't matter what happens on the weekly or the daily. Doesn't really matter. Um, It matters to the extent of that the average daily range drops. So we've dropped to about 220 pips per day, which is not very good for gold. To trade gold, gold needs a healthy average ADR or average daily range for gold is about 300 pips. That's a healthy ADR for gold, right? We are right now. This is a 3 day. This is a 3 day ADR. That's at around 226 pips, right? That's not 2,267. That is the last digits is points. This is 226 pips is the ADR, right? Current ADR. So around 220 pips is what we've been doing the last 3 days. Out of that, today we've done 125 pips. That's how you read this. We've done 125 pips. And so basically we have 45% of the average daily range left. So ADR left, we've got 45% left today. So if price has to make a move, price has another 45% of a move to make, either up or down, right? So we got to see. But that's how we read that. That's really not important. I don't use that in my decision making. All that is just additional information that has nothing to do with the way I trade. Okay, 2.5 minutes for news. Let's see how these numbers come out. So um, they are expecting a good numbers. Okay, so they're expecting core PPI at you know uh, the previous was 0.0%. There was nothing. So now they're expecting a 0.2% increase, and so they're expecting good numbers. And if the actual is 0.02 or greater, if it's 0.02 or greater, price could continue down because uh, that means it's good for the currency, right? So greater numbers. So basically, let me just show you guys how to read this for those of you who don't know. This was the previous reading, right, of last month, which was nothing. They're expecting better numbers, and better numbers means good for currency. So good for currency means stronger US dollar, which means the price runs down, right? We have gold running down, price running down. So that's how you read it. So they're expecting the forecast is supposed to be good. And so now if the actual value comes out here as 0.2 or higher than 0.2, price should continue to move down. Now that is fundamentally what what could happen, but for a price to do that, it needs liquidity. It needs the opposite side of the order. So we've identified those areas here. We've very clearly identified those areas. We've already grabbed liquidity from here, and there's an area here to grab liquidity from. Um, yeah, so this candle, we've grabbed liquidity already. We could come here, 11. Next one could just tap this and continue down, or go straight up. Yeah, it did tap it, and it is moving down. Yeah, it did tap it, and it is moving down. Yeah, we should continue down now. It's tapped the sniper, and it should continue down. We've got good numbers. Yeah, it should continue down. Yeah. So exactly as we drew the fib, I should continue down without a problem. Um, got a flat top there, which is why I don't like. but price did move 33 pips down from the sniper entry. So, but I don't trade news, so I've got to wait for this candle to close before I decide to do anything. But price broke two highs. This high was broken by this high was broken by here. So we draw the fib VI in the high liquidity zone area. This is the low, that's the high. Price did come here, touch this 2250. So high 357, 926, 357, yeah. So price touched this 2250, 2250 to the pip and dropped 33 pips. Okay, but I wouldn't have taken this trade because if it was a non-news day, if there was no news, this is the trade I would have taken. And I said this before. If there was no news, price has come into my zone and my high liquidity area. This is the trade that I would take. Okay, it has come in there, so I draw my fib because I've seen how I draw the fib. Now, that's the trade I would have taken if there was no news. Since there is news, I can't take this trade. I got to wait for this 15-minute candle to close. And we touched it again. We're rejecting here again because price can easily, it's still in the news candle, we can easily push up, right? We've got a flat top here. This is what I call a flat top, flat top, flat top. Generally, when you have these flat tops, price always goes above them to create a wick. And you probably could, it could probably happen today. It could probably happen now, right? That's a flat top. It doesn't need to, doesn't always happen, but it could. I hate flat tops and flat bottom. I hate flat tops and flat bottoms. So to take a sell, I hate seeing this as part of my as the top of the as the end of the fib. I hate seeing something like this. I hate seeing something like this because price can go higher, grab liquidity, and then move down, or it could just move down here as well. Either way, because it's news, I have a very strict rule that I don't trade the news candle. I wait for things to calm down. So that's 15 minutes is a good enough period to wait for price to calm down. And after that, and at the end of that 15-minute candle, at the end of the news candle, look back and see if all the conditions are met to take a trade. I'm going to just bring this down a bit because price has already touched this. Come deep inside and tap this. Yeah, and we did break. Flat top, flat top. This was the high of the fib. Price did break it. This is why I hate seeing flat tops and bottoms on the M1 and M5. On the M5 there is no flat top or bottom, but on the M1 there is, and generally when they're there, price always breaks them and go. If there's a flat top, then it breaks it and goes higher. If it's a flat bottom, it breaks it and goes lower. So it's always good to keep that in mind and then wait to not take a losing trade, unnecessarily not to take a losing trade. Yeah, I was saying that here, 1319. Okay, that's better. Okay, that's better. So A drop, base, rally, price has come there, has tapped it. That was a high liquidity zone. Unfortunately, this candle came before our session started. It tapped it. It is a high liquidity zone. We had already marked as high, but it touched it before the NY open, so we couldn't be part of the trade. And even if we did want to take a part of the trade, price, I would be drawing it like this. I would draw that's how I would draw the fib, and price did not come to the sniper entry. It did not. It just grabbed liquidity from above and just continued 100 pips, right? But that is if price did come here, and if this entire structure happened after this vertical line, after New York open, that's the trade I would be looking to take. Take the trade going up, because that is a high liquidity zone, right? If this wasn't a high liquidity zone, I would not be taking a trade here at all, no matter what happens. This is why it's so important to wait for the candle to close, wait for the news candle to close. Got 7 minutes more for the news candle to close. Um, Price is heading towards that liquidity point. That's previous day's London high. That's another place where there's liquidity. So there was liquidity above this London high, that swing high or London high, whatever you want to call it. And now that high, that's another swing high. That's a London high. So if you go on the 30 minute, it's very clear. See that? That's a swing high. Price tried to come back up, couldn't. Push down. There was a big push down. And now we're coming back up there again. So very likely coming there. And if price comes in there, then it's coming into this high liquidity zone, right? So, and that's weekly resistance, 2530. It's not touched it. It's important to remember price hasn't touched 2530. It touched it only once. It tried several times, came close, came close, came close, came close again. No, so it touched it once, 2530, pushed down, has never come there since then. And there, the right there is a high liquidity zone. So price could grab liquidity from there or just above that, right? And then push down, because that is weekly resistance. So we've got to wait. We've got to wait for this candle to close, see how the next candle opens. Yeah, what I don't want to see is I don't want to see this M15 candle close with a flat top or leave a flat top when the next M15 candle opens, when the next M1 candle opens off that new M15 candle. And I don't want to see price instantly break that high of the previous high. So if this candle closes somewhere here, and if the next M15 candle within the first couple of minutes, if it breaks the previous M15 high, then I wait for that M15 candle to close. right? Because how do I draw my fib? I have to draw my fib. I need a candle low and a high to draw a fib, and a candle has to close for that. 3.5, about 4 minutes for the candle to close. Okay. Now, the news was positive for the dollar. Okay, we've gone to weekly reserve. We've tapped into that. Very nice. We've tapped into that, right? The news was positive um, for the US dollar, but price moved up. So maybe it moved up to grab liquidity, and maybe it's going to continue down later. So you got to wait. 3 minutes more for this candle to close. Let's see where this candle closes. And even if this does close, yeah, we've grabbed liquidity from that high as well. We grabbed here, we grabbed here. Is that going to be sufficient enough to move down? It could be. It could be. Right? Could be. 2.5 minutes. It could be. That is a stop of about 28. It's quite big for me. 30 pips, so it's 34. Yeah, that's quite a big stop for me. Unnecessarily big. I don't like big stop losses. I really don't like big stop losses. As high as 3031, 913. 913, 31. A minute and a half more for the candle to close. Let's look at what the 1 minute looks like. There is a rejection. I will take a trade here. So 31. My stop loss will be 4 pips above that. 31. So 71. That'll be my stop loss. A minute for the candle to close. I want to get in here as close as possible to this. That's a 31 pip stop loss, which I really dislike. But yeah, so two positions of 0.03. I'll take one here, and if we go deeper, then I'll take one deeper. All right. The M5 candle is rejecting that. Yeah, okay. 18 seconds more. Okay, take one there. If you go higher, then I'll take another one there. So we took a trade, we took an entry just above sniper. So we got a good price, but if I go higher, I'll take another one. Okay, there. Those are the two entries, but price could easily come up here as well. Right, it could come up here. And if we do come here, I'll take another entry right there. Okay. Oh, wow, it just pushed up. Oh shit. Uh, that was ugly. Price just pushed up there. Okay, we've lost 1.77 today. Price just pushed up, even though that was an ideal wick to take it off right at that 2530. Just continue to push up. Okay. Mm. Yeah, so we've broken this. All of that is broken. Now, the problem is there is no price action to the left. There's nothing to the left. So we don't know what, there is no possible area or setup to take a trade from because there's absolutely nothing to the left here. So it's broken above that. And I mean, it can go another 100 or 200 pips. This was an ideal place for a trade. And it happens, this happens, price just continues to push up. This was ideal confirmation. I want to wait for this M15 candle to close. I want to see how this candle is going to close. I want to see if this M15 candle is going to close below this resistance. And then we take a trade. But that can take a while. And I'm not sure if I want to take another trade because price just spiked up and before I could close that candle, just that 1 minute candle just spiked up. So my stop loss was there, but that just 60 pip candle straight up, 57 pip candle, and then there 80 pips, just ran up 80 pips straight as after I took my entry. I got my entry right here and ran up 60 70 pips after my entry. It price has grabbed significant amount of volume here. We are above the EMAs. Price did grab volume from this high liquidity zone. And yeah. Yeah, we wanna see some sort of resistance form um, before deciding to do anything. You know, price is right now just skyrocketing, and maybe this has to do more with uh, politically what's happening in the US rather than what happened with the news because it was good numbers on news on PPI. Price should have kind of continued down, but we have moved 225 pips up since pre-NY. Just pulled back to the EMAs, touched the EMAs, and then just continuing to push up. So I'd want to see some sort of resistance form here. M30 resistance form, price to push down. create, maybe, if it closes, if the M30 candle closes like this in the next 8 minutes, and the next M30 candle comes back and closes below, then maybe that's an area to look for a pullback trade on that area if it happens. Or if price just continues, the next M30 candle creates a low wick and continues higher, then there's nothing we can do. Then price is probably heading towards 2550, which is 150 pips away. So, which is very possible. We've moved about 240 pips today, so we could, yeah, this is very possible. 388 is very, 300, 400 pips on gold is very possible. This move up here is very possible. Price could easily go up there. So unfortunately, there's nothing. Price at all-time high, so there's nothing on the left to base a reversal off. There's nothing on the left. So we just have to wait. Rejected, 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 and now pushing further away, further above this. Yeah, gotta wait for this M30 candle to close, and let's see where the next one closes. Okay, so yeah, we gotta wait. We gotta wait. That's a massive candle, massive 30-minute candle. 160 pips. Wow. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. We gotta wait for at least another 20, maybe another 20, 30 minutes to see what price does here. If it's gonna give us any sort of signal to, any sort of structure to come down. Because if I'm looking to buy, I need price to come down to a zone. So this candle needs to close. This H4 candle needs to close, which is a long time from now. We've got an hour, 5 minutes for this candle to close, right? And if it does close, then that becomes a very clean demand zone because it engulfs that supply. That's a demand zone, and then I can wait in that area for price to take a buy trade and go up again, right? But that's a long way for price to come. Price to first has to close. This candle first has to close for this to become a demand zone. It has to close. Until it closes, we don't have demand. Yeah. So we got to wait. We got to wait for price to close. And if you are to take sells, we got to wait for this 30-minute to close and see where the next 30 minutes is going to close. The next 30 minutes is going to close back below this supply. If it does, then yes. Then if the next candle, immediate next candle, M30 candle closes below this resistance, weekly resistance, and below this supply zone, then there is a possibility to look for a pullback to take sells. Okay, that's the plan. So we wait. All right. We are rejecting that area. We are rejecting weekly resistance again. 35, 30, 732, 530. Yeah, we are rejecting. So it's quite a heavy rejection. But wow, so price did not need to come up for a retest. Just continued down. Oof. 130 pips straight down off that weekly resistance. Just did not need to come up for a retest. So the M30 closed below the H1. The H1 closed below. It rejected the weekly resistance. M30 rejected it. Obviously, M15 did, and price did not come up here again to retest it for a retest before continuing down. It just the next candle opened, boom, create a very small top wick and straight down. So there is a M5 supply zone right there, and an M1 zone right there. Um, $31, close 298, 299, 32, 399. Okay, let's see if we can give this trade a second chance. Let's see. Can give the setup the sell idea from this high liquidity zone and the weekly resistance. Give that a second chance. Let's see if price can pull back up there. If it can pull back up to this open 296. Let's see if price can do that. Just it's a lot of volume. There is a lot of volume. Sheesh, the amount of volume. 130 pips down, 190 pips up. Before that, with news, 150. Yeah, that's the news candle. That's 160 pips up. 130 pips down. Wow, man, that's a lot. Candle with no top wick. We might just reverse here. That's just too much for me to take. It's stop loss is too much. 40 pips is way too much. 25, 30 pips is my limit of a stop loss. I just cannot take a trade that is more than 30, above 30 pips. It's just absolutely can't do that. There's too much of leg work for it to do for it to get me at least 1 hour, right? So I can't take a 40 pip or a 50 pip stop loss. Absolutely cannot do that. So that's where I'm willing to wait. If price comes there, great. If it doesn't, then so be it. So we rejected this, made a big wick right at that high liquidity zone. That zone has previously taken out what's to the left here. It's come down all the way. Price is back there. It's coming back there. Let's see. It's just a lot of too much of movement, right now. It's just too much of movement. I'm going to take some. If you come here, I'll take a very small position. If we do come there, I'm not going to take too much of a bigger position. Just let the pending order get triggered. Okay, that was one. Price could go higher. Just yeah. Right. Yeah. This will be the last opportunity I give my trade. I'm not going to. Wow, it's just pushing up. Just pushing up. Oh, oh man. Sheesh. It's a hell of a lot of volume. Yikes. That's it. 3%. I am done. There's nothing to the left. Price is just. Sheesh. Okay. 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 I am done today. That's way more than I intended to lose. I'm done. I'm done. And yeah, I'm done trying to trade today. There's nothing to the left. There is no price action. So, no idea what's going to happen. Price will probably easily go up to 2550. Yeah, it is pushing all the way up. There's no price action whatsoever to trade. This had no top wick, rejected 2530. So the assumption was price could pull back down there, but it didn't. It just is continuing up. These are just fundamentals driving price up. There's no technicals involved at all. Okay, so that's it for today's stream. We just wait it out and see what happens tomorrow, and then come back and see if you have some sort of structure. If price does continue to either move up and create some sort of a demand zone here, a high liquidity demand zone, or price comes down and creates a high liquidity supply zone, then we look to take trades from those zones tomorrow. But until that happens, there is nothing, and that can take a while. That can take several. It can take 2 to 3, 4 hour candles for that to happen, because we've made a massive move up, 300 pip move up pre-NY. This the move started. It didn't even start in the New York session. It started pre-NY, and it's moved 300 pips. So that's it. I did lose a lot more than I intended to lose, but that happens. There are days like this. We just got to manage our emotions and come back the next day and live to fight another day. All right. Okay. So see you guys. We'll be back here tomorrow. Take care.